Ready.
Good evening. It is Monday, April 6, 2026. We're going to call the Select Board meeting to order. Since we're all in the room, we do not need to do a roll call vote. This is a joint meeting with FinCom, but we'll recognize that two members of FinCom are in the room, but they cannot officially call their meeting to order. And if a third shows up, we will then, at that point, do that. So, Joe, which agenda am I working off of first?
I would use our agenda.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go through board and committee openings. Affordable Housing Trust has one opening. Conservation Commission has two openings. Community Preservation Committee has two openings. One opening for a member of Historic District Commission and one opening for an at-large member. The Council on Aging has one opening. The Finance and Advisory Committee has two openings through the moderator. Hamilton Environmental Impact Committee has one opening. The Historic District Commission has two openings for 3-year terms, two openings for 2-year terms. One must be a resident of the Historic District and one must be a resident realtor. Hamilton Wenham Recreation Board has one opening for a Hamilton resident. And lastly, the Human Rights Commission has one at-large opening.
Rosie just joined at 7:01.
Rosie just joined. So, Rosie, we'll just have to do a roll call vote. So we'll start with you, Rosemary Kennedy. You're on mute, but I see you say here. And then we'll just go around the room here. Ben
Ben here. Tom Myers here.
Bill Wilson here.
And William Olson here. And Rosie, just unmute for a second so make sure we can hear you tonight.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Gotcha.
Rosie Kennedy here.
Yep, we got you. Great to see you. All right, public comment. We will now take public comment for up to 30 minutes. Each speaker should come up and introduce themselves, and they have 3 minutes to speak. Is there anybody on?
Corinne Kill, Town Clerk.
All right. Corinne, you are recognized.
Hi, good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, just a quick announcement. I want to remind folks that we have an election coming up, April 16th. The last day to request a mail ballot is this Thursday, April 9th at 5 p.m. Folks can request that ballot online. There's an application on my webpage. They can drop it off. They can mail it in. We have to receive it by 5 p.m. on Thursday, and then we'll get those ballots out. And for a local election, voted ballots have to be received by 8 p.m. on election day. So I also want to remind folks that if they get a mail ballot, best thing to do is drop it off back at our office or in the drop box rather than counting on the mail service. That's all I have. Just want to make sure people know, or if you know of anybody who might be out of town or has a challenge getting to the polls, please, please, please pass the word.
Thanks for the reminder, Corinne. I will be out of town, so.
Perfect.
Thank you. That's a good reminder. Anyone else in the room or online, raise your hand or step up to the podium. Okay. We now have a consent agenda, so I will read the consent agenda, and then someone can please move it. Accept a gift to the Hamilton Fire Department in the amount of $100. Accept a gift to the Hamilton Council on Aging in the amount of $300. Approve tennis court ban request for Hamilton Wenham Generals Youth Football for April 10th through May 31st, 2026. Approve Council on Aging banner request for Hamilton Wenham Garden Club for May 2nd through May 9th, 2026, and approve minutes of March 16th, 2026 Select Board meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So any further discussion?
Just that I appreciate all the gifts to the town, the Hamilton Fire Department one, as well as the Council of Aging.
And I think that, yeah, I think that's good. And I think that, you know, one of the things that we've talked about, and I think we've had some volunteers for people to help us write policies on the next term, once we get through the elections. So I think this is one of the ones that we want to sort of work on is these, you know, banners. You know, we got a couple things on the agenda today that I think we need to look at the policies for the banners as well as the cemetery deeds for non-residents. So a couple things that we'll vote on tonight, but I'm in favor of it now, but I think we probably should look at that in the new term. Any other discussion? Comments? All right, and nobody's here to speak to those, correct?
Nobody's here speaking.
Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call vote, we'll always start with Rosemary.
Rosie Kennedy, aye.
And we'll just go across the front here.
Ben Galuza, aye. Tom Myers, aye.
Bill Wilson, aye.
And William Olson, aye. All right, the next item on the agenda is to review the draft script for the annual town meeting, identify motion makers and items for consent motion. So that is the first topic. In addition to sort of identifying the motion makers, are we also going to identify if somebody's going to speak to the article?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yep.
And who's creating any, and when you need that information by, and
Well, I'll take notes, and as you guys vote on it tonight with the FinCom's input, we'll finalize their script
Okay.
tomorrow or Thursday, tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. And then you'll all have a copy of it.
okay. So, Joe, you want to walk us through the?
Yeah, town council is here to help you go over the script. The first couple pages are kind of normal boilerplate stuff that we start every town meeting with. I did ask by text the moderator if he wanted to take some time here at the beginning of the meeting. We just had a couple of recent folks in our town that we lost, Jay Butler and Anne Marie Cullen, and wanted to know if somebody wanted to recognize their contributions, particularly because they've been vital to town meeting in the past.
So I volunteered to say something unless somebody else wanted to.
Where do you want to like slide that in here? We'll just make
I
sure.
think it
that
should
we
be
have
in the
it. Very beginning?
beginning, yeah.
Okay, so we'll have, we'll make a
And I
note
welcome
for
anybody
Bill
else
to
wants to say
recognize
something too,
Bill
but I
Olson.
definitely don't want to go miss, so anybody else on the board wants to join me or say something, I think it's worth the time we need to take at the beginning to recognize people who've had a profound impact on our community over the past many years, so.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine if
If
one.
you want, if you want somebody to also speak, I would be happy to. Jay Burnham really, really picked up the mantle when he offered to go to the CPC and have them help us with the remaining costs of the town hall, because if he hadn't done that, we would not have been able to renovate our town hall. I feel really, really grateful to Jay for that.
Jay Butler.
All right,
Jay
so,
Buck.
yeah, so Rosemary, you and I will say something, okay, so.
Sure, and we can coordinate whatever you'd like for me to do or not do is fine.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I want to just make sure, which is fine with the two of you or one of you, just recognize the years of service,
Yeah.
even more so. than
Absolutely.
Any one thing, and perhaps we can send you guys some notes if there's something we feel might be helpful to add.
yeah,
to
please
it.
do.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, Bill.
And Joe's gonna help me too with some of the facts and figures.
Yeah, like what maybe
Yeah.
boards, committees, and length of time contributing to the town.
Do our best to research that.
Sure. Where do you think you'd like to add it?
I think maybe right
See
even
the
before, at the very
moderator.
beginning, right even before one, have the moderator recognize, call attention for folks to pay attention and then recognize Mr. Mr. Olson to say a few words.
And I'm just going to have at the very beginning, a short statement about the 250th anniversary of the revolution and town meeting's role in it.
That's great. Oldest form of government. And did you plan on putting anything on the backdrop, maybe a picture or just anything with a name, like when he?
I'll see if I can get pictures, It depends if I can get a picture that would do them justice, sure.
Okay,
Perfect.
And so we'll add that at the beginning to recognize Mr. Olson for purposes of
Yep.
making an introductory statement.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So then we'll move into the meat of the meeting here is after we get started, you'll get into our goal. I think the first thing you want to do is, are we going to have any reports at this meeting? I don't know if you have,
Aware of any?
I'm not aware of any reports that need to be,
so I wrote that thing, but that just gets entered into the,
that's
record.
generally what we've done, yeah.
would you share that with the rest of the board or not?
Sure, yeah, we can.
So we had to write what was the official name for it? But-
A report, an annual report, so it goes into our annual report, which is ready and can be printed out for people who want it, and it's been included in our GFOA-style budget as well, so, budget presentation, so we can include, we can share a copy of what Bill wrote about the select board's updates for the just finished year, and there are reports from other boards and committees in there as well.
It's basically just facts and figures of things that had passed.
I think the CPC did something similar, correct? Do we do
CPC
anything, we don't speak to it, but is that just recognized in any way? or-
Yeah, so the first article, you know, basically, typically, since I've been here, we haven't had to take a vote on it, and we haven't had that many reports given verbally. The moderator just recognizes someone, you need to have a motion maker to move that the reports of the town officers and committees be received and placed on file.
Got it.
And so you need to identify who you want to do that.
So that's just reading the motion, right?
Yep.
And do we have a list of the reports, or is it just reports?
It's always been just reports,
Okay.
but
So John, I'm opening one up from, it's dated for, I'm not sure which rep this is. Is this the right rep that I'm looking at?
it was sent to you on Thursday.
Yeah, I have that one. Okay,
Yeah,
that's one.
that's the one we
Okay.
had sent on Thursday,
Okay.
so.
All right.
All right, so who do you want to have make the motion?
Yeah, how do we want to do this? Just kind of yell out, I'll do it, or I don't mind. I
Yeah,
know the
you-
FinCom, there's a lot of financial ones that you might want to do as well.
Yeah,
I
they've
don't
typically
mind
done
who
the
does what,
financial ones.
to be honest.
Yeah, so I think the key financial ones are the budget and the Prop 2.5.
The
So
supplemental budget.
focus on, okay, who wants to deliver that message? We're happy to do the motion, but who's gonna speak to?
So when we get, once you've made the motion, Wendy and I will present the town's budget, and then the school district will present the school district's budget, and then you'll repeat that process for the supplemental budget in the next article. But can we just try to stay in order so we can
Okay.
get these knocked
So you're
out?
talking about Article,
Article 1-1, or is it?
1-2,
1-2, sorry.
right.
To move the reports to the town offices and committees and be received and placed on file.
so I think it should be somebody on the select board.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
Okay.
Bill Wilson.
FinCom was gonna make a open comment in the report section.
Okay, so that's,
You want me to recognize them?
yes, can you do
Or
that?
you do, or whoever? Wouldn't be bad to list the reports, but
I think typically we've just had the reports, the motion has typically been to receive and place them on file. So a lot of towns, I don't know if Hamilton specifically does it, but a lot of towns will have an annual report from last fiscal year, which will have essentially a compilation of all the reports that are prepared by various town boards and committees. Usually has town meeting results, things like that in it. Not every town still does it anymore. So I think that's typically what that was. However, if there is going to be an actual report from a board or committee, I don't think you necessarily need to have a motion. The moderator can just recognize, John McGrath for purposes of making the FinCom report at that time.
I thought we, in previous meetings, we sort of had a motion to accept reports.
We
See,
have,
that's what this
But it
is.
doesn't
They'd
say
have
it,
to do both,
doesn't
though.
say it, though.
yeah, the motion here is I move that the reports of town offices and committees be received and placed on file. That's
Okay, I don't
the-
have that in front of me. How come I'm,
Oh, yeah, that's
It's
in the
1-2.
script.
In the
It's
script, right,
Yeah, it's in the
not
script.
in
You're in
the
the warrant,
warrant.
you're in the warrant, not the script.
gotcha, okay.
Um,
Okay, I understand, okay.
And that report is in the GFO.
It is, yes.
Correct.
It's already on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those reports have already been received on the website.
Want to refer to that, because that's pretty voluminous. It's 300 pages of community reports.
Yes, it is.
So do we just accept that, what he just referenced, or we just say reports to capture everything?
Usually, again, it's
Yeah, okay.
really up to you guys in terms of how you want to handle it, but it's usually to accept the reports and place them on file. So you don't have to even vote it technically, in my opinion, because they are already on file.
Yeah.
And usually this is more of a placeholder type of an article that's usually on the warrant in case there are some boards and committees that want to make a presentation at town meeting.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's fine as is.
I'm gonna make this easy for the folks following along at home. I'll put the script up on the screen as well. Yeah, okay. right, so our Article 1-3 is the next article.
So in 1-2, is the FinCom going to make a presentation at that time, or are they going to make a presentation like at the budget article, for example?
We're gonna do a brief 2-minute report during the report section.
Okay.
You going to have a PowerPoint slide?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna submit it to Bill.
Okay.
It's just a single page with
Okay.
4 bullets on it.
Okay. Bill, has anyone else, any other boards or committees approached you to?
Yeah, there've been, well, not reports, but there are there's slides from other committees.
Yeah, so for articles, but nobody has asked to submit a report, right? Okay. Because nobody had checked in with me either, so I was hoping that nobody was going around us.
Okay, so for 1-2, instead of a motion, is it, Bill, is your intention just to recognize John?
Right.
And, okay, so we don't need a motion then for
Yeah,
that?
you can move me to 1-3 if it's,
Okay.
or whatever's down the road. I think that's more efficient.
Okay. Yeah, 1-3 is the articles for consent motion. We had some, populated with this, with some of the normal typical articles that we put in the consent motion, but we have had to make a change. So what we had listed here was 2-1, 2-7, 2-8, 2-9, 2-11, and 3-4. There was an error in the appendix for Article 2-1. We're gonna have to hand out an updated Appendix A, so therefore, you don't want to put that in the article for consent motion, because we want to be clear that people will be voting on 2-1 on the updated appendix, not based on the appendix that's in the warrant.
How do we modify that?
We'll just take 2-1 out of here, and then we'll have to make a motion on 2-1, and we can explain that at the time.
I missed the call firefighter wages, Alan.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with the thing, if it's in the,
In the article.
if it's in the article, do we have to officially amend the article?
No, because the motion, the article kind of sets the parameters for, the motion has to be within the 4 corners of the article, so you can certainly, it's well within the scope to take something out.
Perfect. So that'll be you, Bill.
Bill
good.
Wilson will do, okay?
So I'll revise that, so 2-1 will not be included in the consent
So
agenda.
just so that everybody knows, 2-7 is the article, I want to make sure you know what you're voting on here to have in consent motion. 2-7 is the annual financial actions. This is transfers to cemetery and water enterprise and other funds from the general fund. Then there is the 2-8 is the Hamilton Development Corporation. 2-9 is the OPEB Trust Fund. 2-11 is the Community Preservation Budget. So those are all. No, we don't include 2-2 because it requires a 9/10 majority. So we don't, because if you include something that requires more than a 50% majority, then the entire thing needs that quantum of vote, and we don't want to mess with it.
2-7, 2-8, 2-9,
2-11, and 3-4.
Joe, I'm sorry, could you just repeat, just clarify what 3.4 is?
3.4,
That is the acceptance of the statute to allow the town to invest trust funds in accordance with the prudent investor rule.
prudent investor rule, right?
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So when they get, just so everybody knows, right, just to remind everybody, when it's in the consent agenda, we don't ever read the motion, right? That's.
We don't read it
Yeah.
unless somebody,
That's hold, right? So-
calls
So
hold.
we don't even talk about, it, right, so I will read, for anything that gets held, 2-7, 2-8, 2-9, 2-11, 3-4, anything that's held, I will, and it goes into the normal order, I will do the motion for that.
Well, I thought we're just gonna read it in the motion.
Well, He's saying if something gets held.
Something gets
Oh,
held,
something gets out, gotcha.
something gets held, and it gets put out, I will just take care of any of those, just so there's not confusion. I'll just, those will go back into the normal order, and Joe will help me keep order, and I'll just do the motion on those. Those are the ones I'll do.
Okay.
That's my volunteer.
Good idea. He's so helpful.
He got himself out of all the high leverage ones.
All right. Now we go to 2-1, which is compensation classification table.
Correct.
Correct. So that one, because the appendix is being amended, I will revise that motion to reference the handout that will be provided at town meeting to the revised appendix. But somebody will need to make a motion for that.
Ben or Rosemary or Tom? When you take this on?
For which one? Sorry, I was,
Compensation classification table motion, Article 2-1.
sure. I'm happy to do it, just whatever you like. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
Joe, I'm sorry, I must have been an old version, but scroll down to that one.
yep. Why did it go down? I'm sorry.
Prior year?
The next one is the prior
I
year
just want to
bill.
go to that one, though, I just want to see, so I'm looking at an older version, unfortunately, sorry. So okay, so FinCom voted on that one, okay. Next one is prior year bills.
Yep.
That requires a 4/5 vote.
Right.
It's only $79.40. That's pretty impressive. That's the lowest it's ever been as long as I've been here. Good job. All right, who wants to have them do that good news for the town? All right, Tom. All right.
On that one, I did have one question. I had the amount as $79.40, but I did not have the name of the vendor.
I wrote it into the town.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Strand. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Now we get into the meat of the meeting. 2-3 is the general town departmental appropriations. Town and schools.
So you would rather a select board move it and then the FinCom and you talk to it? Is that what we've done previously, Joe?
I think typically the way it's kind of gone is the moderator will call the article, and then he'll recognize usually Eric Tracy to report on the school district budget, and then Joe, I think, has typically reported on the town.
I get that, I'm just trying to
Budget,
figure out.
yeah.
I'm just trying to
Right.
get moved by FinCom or get moved by, it's really the only choice, right?
Right.
FinCom or select board, right? So,
I think in the past, it's been FinCom a lot of times, but it doesn't necessarily have to be anybody can move it.
We're happy to move the financial motions.
I'm happy to do that, Bill, if you'd like. And then FinCom would come up. So it's just a very quick introduction by the select
I
board.
mean, yeah, we worked pretty hard to get this to be separate motions, so I think Rosemary, I think you reading motion 2-3 makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the one, that's the one that's the baseline, sort of, baseline levy limit budget, right? Is 2-3?
Yes,
And then 2-4
Yeah.
is the override?
right.
And then Rosemary will recognize John?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think, well, typically, haven't we had like the discussion on the budget before the motion, and just in case there's any changes to any line items?
Right.
So I think typically, the moderator has in the past, I think, recognized the superintendent of schools, town manager, and then if a select board member, Rosie, or whoever it may be, wishes to speak, then we kind of go through, I think, each of the line items, and if somebody calls out a hold or they have questions on something, then we would address those. If somebody wants to change a line item, then there would be, a motion to amend a particular line item, and that ultimately will affect the kind of final numbers. So I think typically we've waited and made the kind of the final motion at the end, I believe, is typically how it's been handled.
Because Joe, were you and Wendy going to speak to that article too?
Yeah,
Or-
so
we've got a lot of
it'd be, the way we've been doing it the last few years, the school makes their presentation on their budget request, then we explain the town budget, and then the motion gets made and gets seconded, and then there's general discussion, people ask questions, et cetera, so,
So the motion comes after the presentation.
in this case, right.
Yes, I think that's typically how we've done it. I think the way it's set up in the script is that the moderator will then read each kind of general category in the budget, for example, general town government, public safety, Hamilton Wenham Regional School District, Essex Tech, DPW, Health and Human Services, Culture, Recreation, unclassified expenses. And if people have questions on particular expenditures within those categories, they would call out hold. If not, then those are the numbers. And then ultimately, there would be a motion made to approve the budget and appropriate sufficient funds, obviously, to cover those expenses.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just have another sort of clarifying question. So obviously, we have two articles, and who is going to explain, or how will we explain the difference between the two? Just so that voters won't be confused by this. How will we handle that?
Sure, so we've, and I'll forward after you, I had to get it approved by the town moderator first, and he approved it this evening. We have basically two different slideshows. We have a little bit longer slideshow that talks about the general fund budget under the levy limit and explains what we're asking folks to vote for in 2-3. Then after that vote, when you bring up the supplemental budget, we'll have another 2 or 3 slides to explain what is in the supplemental budget for the towns, and the school district will do the same thing, explain what is in the supplemental budget for the school. So we will be very clear that what we're asking in this article is to vote budgets that can be covered under the levy limit without the override, and that the override items will be covered in the next vote.
Right, okay. And will we use the term override for the second, or will we use the term supplemental?
Whatever the board wants me to use, I'll use whatever term you want. I'm not married to any term. I mean, it is fair to point out to people that it requires an override.
Right, that's why I was asking about that. I think in fairness, that word should be included in the language for whomever discusses it.
Yep.
I just want to go back to that, because so the presentation because sometimes we've done the entire presentation at one time and then we vote for it in 2 articles. We've done that before. In this case, you're going to do 2 separate presentations. Is that what I understood, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the first presentation is the longer one. It really explains all the regular annual
Right.
stuff and where things are at. And it's what's covered under the levy limit without needing the override. And then, because it's a separate article, we have the second separate question. We have 2 or 3 slides to just go through what the town is asking for in the override. And the schools will have a couple slides to say what they're asking for in the override. And then, again, during the normal debate, FinCom will probably stand up and be recognized and speak. You can stand up and be recognized and speak. The audience members can, town meeting members can.
As Rosemary asked, who's going to give like the general, like the law, basically the interpretation of the law. The law allows us to raise up to the levy limit. Over the law, we have to do a separate, I'd like somebody to explain like the process so people don't think like trying to, because I think some people take it's like a negative or we're sneaking around, like it's, that we're just following the what's allowed by the law, right? And I want somebody to sort of give that legal definition of how it is so we can, and even if Tom writes up for me, I'll read it. But I want people to understand like the process of the override is not a negative thing. It's just the process we go through when we need more money than the levy.
That's why I don't think it should be 2 separate presentations. I mean, I think you ought to lay out, here's what the town has determined it needs. Because of these legalese and Prop 2.5,
Right.
we've had to bucket these this year for the first time. You haven't seen this. We're gonna vote separately on what we can fit within that limit, and then we're gonna come back at you with identified items that would get us within the limit. But it doesn't mean they're less important or more important, I don't think. But it's separate because I think going after it separate, people are gonna think it's
Like it's not
different.
needed, or it's
for some
not
reason.
needed.
You don't really, I don't know. I think I like the one presentation, as Bill said, and then someone can explain why we have to approach it in 2
Why we
different
need two
levels.
So it's easy enough for us to put we actually have them laid out all together in a row, and then we just stop at a certain point, and then we pick up the
Yeah,
other 3.
and that's
So
why you have
we
to
can
do a
just go
preview.
through and do it that way and present it that way.
4 articles.
2.
2 articles,
two-
2 articles, but
School will do it on
the
their
2, yeah.
So is so the town override and the school override.
Are together in one article,
Oh,
right,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
All right, so that's.
So that,
different than I was
yeah,
explaining.
they are separate articles in the warrant. That's how the warrant was set
No,
up.
but-
So
no, but-
for purposes of debate, usually, in the past, I think we've done it where there's been a discussion on, like, for example, on the town hall project where we had funding from town sources as well as CPC. So for purposes of debate, there was a combined discussion. So I think you could do that as long as the moderator's on board.
And I'm fine with doing 2 separate discussions, but I would rather it be one presentation. But please, I recognize the chair of the FinCom. Can you hear him? If you can, you might have to go to the mic because people are online, especially Rosemary.
Thank you.
In our book of recommendations, we did a combined conversation, similar to what you're talking about. We started out with, each year, the select board, FinCom, and town management expresses a goal to avoid a 2.5 override. All right, so I would maybe make that point, that it's expressed by the select board and FinCom and voted on in terms of the budget goals. Unfortunately, this year, we didn't achieve that goal. Then we went into what is an override, what is a debt exclusion. So we basically gave everyone a.
Do you do that as part of your presentation, or just part of the book recommendations?
We put it in the book recommendations. I wanted to hear what you guys wanted to do, but I think, Bill, I agree with you. I do believe you need to give an overview explanation of what is to come. There's a levy limit and then there's an override. So whoever does it, I just think you might want to level set everyone.
I'm happy to do it, I'm happy to have you do it, but I think it should be a one-slide summary of like, this is where we're at and why we got here, and it's just following the process that we follow, right?
Okay, all right, so what I'll do is I'll update my slide with some key bullet points.
Okay.
And I'll send it to you guys, you'll see it tomorrow.
Okay, that'd be great.
And
So you're willing to do this?
I'm willing to do that
Makes sense with your piece.
in the opening. So if you want to read the book of recommendations, just go to that page and you can sort of see the points I made. But it's really, you guys need to feel comfortable with how the message is delivered.
So what we're saying, I think, is, just to try us back to this, what we're saying here is that before the motion gets made, and before
For Article 2-3,
Article 2-3.
Bill's going to recognize
Bill's going to recognize
FinCom,
FinCom first.
and they're going to do a one-slide summary of what's to come, and then they're going to give their presentation on the town budget, Is that all you're speaking to? Let me.
Just for clarifying, were you talking in the report section up front doing that, or in 2-3?
Initially, I can do it in either place, but I just think we owe
Oh,
everyone.
yeah, 100%.
A brief overview. It's like 2 minutes.
Was that what your report was going to be about?
Yeah, I'm thinking it goes there, and
Yeah.
whatever that one dot is, but it can go either place.
It can go either way.
But it's different. I wouldn't say we failed, I would just say, here's what happened throughout.
No,
the
I mean,
process.
and the point is, we've succeeded against that goal for 18 years.
Yeah.
So, we just need to level set with a message that you feel comfortable with and that we feel comfortable with, so. I'll write up the one
Can we do this
pager.
quick straw vote amongst the 5 of us, but would you rather him do that slide when 2-3, so we're talking about the time, or would you rather him do it at the reports and then come back to it?
At the beginning of 2-3.
Begin 2-3?
Probably at the beginning, yeah.
Of what?
2-3.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I think it's cleaner, though, if you say it out of the gate, hey, a little bit different today, but it does smooth in with that, because I think we have too many people talking at 2-3. I think 2-3 ought to run, you do your presentation, then there's a motion, and then further discussion is when his report comes in. But now you got him here.
But if you started, so my only concern with him doing it at the top of the meeting, if I can.
It's too
ju-
soon.
Well, and not everybody's gonna be paying attention, people will still be getting in their
Okay.
seats.
Yeah.
And on it, there will be people that won't hear that part of the
For that
message.
reason even alone, I
So
think,
for that
people
reason
still-
alone, you should wait till we have this in front of them, and this is what look, we're gonna get a big turnout, it's gonna be because of these two
Yeah.
articles, right? So,
Okay, yeah, 2-3.
have him.
Rosemary, are you okay with us
Okay.
doing that?
fine.
Speaking at the beginning of 2-3 on what an override means?
Yeah, I can do that, and I'll talk to Joe and to Wendy about particular language they would like to have included.
I think
I think we're gonna-
I think the FinCom was gonna do that as part of their reports, but they volunteered to do it and 2-3. So I think we have somebody to do it, but we just were looking for placement to make sure you think it makes sense to do it at that point.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Whatever the consensus is, I will work in with that.
Okay. Okay.
At 8:50.
Okay, so,
Put it on this.
Okay.
all right, so 2-3, we do the introduction, you do your presentation, Eric does his presentation, and then based on comments and discussion, Rosemary makes the motion
Yep.
When did you want John to speak?
at the beginning of 2-3.
Beginning of 2-3,
So
okay.
prior to Eric and I being recognized.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then Rosemary makes the motion, and then the rest of it goes the way it normally goes.
Well, I think the way it goes first is before that happens is when the moderator then reads the various categories, and if people
Right,
have a
yeah.
hold, and then after that's all done is when the motion comes.
Right, and then,
Yep.
Okay,
and then,
good.
and then if there's
We'll have a
any,
calculator there for you, Rosie, if we need a calculator for you.
Wendy will be ready. If there's any changes.
Everybody agree? I think that makes sense to
I
me,
do.
but does everybody else agree? Okay, all right.
All right.
Then we go to 2-4.
2-4, this is the override/supplemental budget appropriations. So we've already had the large debate, so we need a motion maker kind of right out of jump then.
So I will make the motion for 2-4 unless somebody else wants to. But I have no problem making that motion. And then,
And should it be called an override, or?
So
Yes, I-
well,
right,
yeah, it
definitely
really
it
has
should.
to be language referenced in the
But
article.
we didn't on the warrant, on the name of the article, though. We call it a supplemental.
we call it a,
Well, in the language itself, it references, you
Doesn't
know,
say that.
passage of a so-called Prop 2.5 override vote under Chapter 59, Section 2C.
the motion will include the word override.
So
Okay.
the motion's going
It
to
is,
say, it'll have the specific dollar amounts, and it says, so I'll read you the motion. It says that I move that the town raise and appropriate $260,981 for town expenses and $79,524 for Hamilton Wenham School District expenses, for a total appropriation of $1,340,505 to supplement the appropriation under Article 2026/4 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026, as set forth in the 2027 fiscal year general fund supplemental budget in Appendix D of the appendix book, and the supplemental school budget in Appendix E of the appendix book, provided, however, that the vote taken hereunder shall be expressly contingent on the passage of a so-called Proposition 2.5 override vote under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 21C.
So that's a lot of language, and my question is if you can scroll back just a smidge to the heading. Just keep going, where it's 2.4? Where it says supplemental town departmental and school appropriations, can the word override be used there so that people will clearly understand
The warrant
it?
books are- Rosie, the warrant book's already been printed and started being
Oh,
distributed.
it has.
Yeah.
Okay, well then there you go. Okay. Okay,
I mean, and that language was discussed by the select board when we were creating the warrant, so that, we didn't make that up, in the admin office.
well, we call it, I mean, I get why we call it that, but I thought this doesn't read like it. It even says contingent on a so-called override vote on a different day, basically, right? This is an override vote.
No, there's still a ballot question.
Ballot question.
But, I mean, we're
That's-
voting on the ballot question to say we approve an override.
You're voting to,
Supplemental
you're
override.
you're voting that subject to the passage of the override at the ballot.
Right.
Then you would appropriate that money for these purposes.
Right. This is the appropriation article, and the
I just think
appropriation.
it's confusing as written. I mean,
it is confusing.
That's just the legalese.
I mean, I think we
of
were
it.
it isn't legalese. Override is the technical term, right? I mean, we say supplemental because it's in addition to.
Right, well, because you're supplementing the vote taken under the prior article. The first article, 2-3,
Supplementals to the first.
this
Right.
supplements that
Makes it
budget.
an override.
Right.
Well, it
So-
doesn't necessarily have to. In this case,
it
it's
does.
contingent upon an override.
It has to.
No, if
Well,
we had
it doesn't have
base
to.
budget that was 1%.
Right, but yeah, but we wouldn't have this discussion if we had a
In this
base
case,
budget that
correct.
had
In this
it.
case, you're right.
This is 100%.
All right.
Right, but it
The only
wouldn't
reason we're doing it
technically
is
have to.
because it's an override.
That's
We wouldn't
correct.
have a supplemental discussion then.
This year, correct.
We
Right.
could if we wanted to.
Why? No, but why would you?
We've tried
just
to
saying,
pass
maybe
on the
there was
school budget.
something-
We've tried to pass on the school budget, and we've created 2 budget questions, and then generally when we get to the first one, somebody stands up and moves to combine them, because they're all under the levy, and it just gets combined, and then we don't even have the second discussion. But the select board has tried, at least 3 times in the past, to have that discussion on the town meeting floor by having a second separate vote for what, and.
Yeah, you can
So
do that.
you can do
but I
that,
mean-
and it doesn't require an override.
That's
so-
true, that's true. For precedent would say that a few years ago, we had two votes. We had an initial vote and a supplemental vote. The supplemental vote didn't require an override, but we still did a supplement because we did two votes. So that's where we're calling supplemental vote, but I agree with you. We could have made it clear, but it does say override right in the language, so it's not like any.
It says it in the motion.
But Bill, to your
It's in,
point,
the,
when
it's
you,
in both the warrant article and the motion.
and
There's a
when
reference
you
to
get
an
up,
override.
when the moderator recognizes you, before you read the motion, you can say, just so everybody's clear, this is for the override question.
I will say that. I have no problem with that.
So you're telling me this board has in the past that had supplemental language from, not separate from school and town, I get that, but even within the town, supplemental?
We've had supplemental where, as my first 2 years here, where the school department was asking for a larger increase than the select board and FinCom felt they needed.
Again, for a different legal entity, the school department
School,
wanted that.
but it was, this is what we think that should be in the first article, and then this is what the schools asked for, so we're put it in a second separate article, and because it didn't require an override in each of those cases, a member of the school committee stood up and moved to combine the motions and the articles, and they were combined on the town meeting floor and voted as one
Because
motion.
you were disagreeing at the time with the
Right.
school number, I get that, but that's not even close to what we're saying, doing here.
But it's still a
But
supplemental
that's the
town-
mechanism how you
but
create
it's still-
the
Legally,
second.
it's still called supplemental town department, like, that's what they call, but then that supplement happens to be the override, which is why it's written in the language of the motion. I understand what
You're
you're
saying it's
saying.
different to supplement within a Prop 2.5 and going outside of it. Our intent and purpose was solely to differentiate because it was gonna cause an override. If you don't wanna go through an override and make all these boards and committees come back and redo their budget, then let us have a base budget to work on.
Right.
While we do that.
Right.
That's the whole reason we did that. But-
We
and-
can't change the warrant.
No, I know
but
we can't.
but
I happened to
but I will
just, when
state-
Rosie,
yeah.
said it,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she's not wrong.
I will state, when I read it, this motion is, the article that's for is for the override. I'll state that just so it's clear.
And it is in the motions, but.
Okay,
Thank you. That sounds great.
okay.
So, let's just talk ifs. If somebody gets up and says, I want to combine the motions, can that be done? Can someone make a,
Can these articles be combined, even though one of them requires the override and the other doesn't?
be prepared for
I'd
that
love to be able to
discussion?
say no.
It would be difficult to do that. You'd still end up probably having to take two separate votes anyways, because a portion of it's not subject to override, the other portion is.
And the good news is the school committee has worked with us on this, and they're aware of the language. In the past, it's been the school committee and
I just want to give them
School
a
parents
firm
that have-
legal no, they can't be combined.
Well, are the ballots already printed and everything as well?
Well, the balance about the
No, yeah,
override, it's not about the budget, but yeah.
No, but I'm,
Yeah, I don't see how it would work. It was set up as two separate articles for a reason, and I think that's the reason why, is because only a portion of the budget is subject to a Prop 2.5 override.
Okay.
Well,
Now, I've
let's
seen
just play
towns
the
do
card out.
it, there are other ways it could have been done initially, but this was the way that was chosen to do it, and so
Right.
when you handle it in two separate articles like this, I think
is the
should
fact
vote
that
it
the
as two
first
separate
article,
articles.
is the fact that within the four corners of the first article, 2-3, the fact that it's within, under the levy limit, that's part of the reason for the article, and the motion that made the way it is. So that the other article requires a motion subject to the 2.5, and it's not under the levy limit, I don't think they could be, I think you could make the legal case that they can't be combined because
Right.
completely different
Yeah,
circumstances. They're
ultimately,
different-
any
different
kind
four
of,
corners.
right, any questions concerning the scope of the article are fall squarely and solely within the moderator's discretion.
Bill, are you comfortable that these two articles can't be combined?
When I'm trying to think back to the, past when we have had overrides, I think everything's been in one. There have been cases where it's been just one,
So I looked back at the 2008 and 2009
but unless.
warrants, they were separate articles.
I'm trying to think if the school budget was separate.
So when I looked back at the 2008 and 2009 warrants, there were separate articles for the override. There, I don't know, because I wasn't there, whether somebody tried to move to combine them, but they were definitely listed the same way we've done it here, as separate articles.
I think doing it this way makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise,
You don't have an approved budget.
if you combine them and then the override doesn't pass,
You
you
don't-
don't have a budget.
and you
Right.
gotta start all over again and
Right,
have
that's
a
why
special town
I
meeting.
wanted you
so.
guys to walk away and say, no, we can't be combined. That was why I asked the question, so I could get a firm no. I'm not hearing a firm no, but I want to hear a firm no. I don't want to have this discussion on town floor on Saturday. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page that these can't be combined.
So even if it wasn't an override and it got, the regular budget within got voted down, what would the next steps be?
I'm sorry, if your regular
Even if we
budget,
didn't have an override, I think this is where we're going, and we had a budget within, but the town voted no.
so if the town doesn't approve a budget,
Yeah, so.
then you'd have to come back at a,
We'd have to have a
you'd have to have a
special town
special
meeting
town
before June
meeting.
1st.
So
I mean,
couldn't we
before July
just
1st.
answer then, if we were to combine, the answer would be, instead of saying no, you can't, like, well, if we were to combine the budgets, we've laid out what would come back with that is within our levy limit, and that would be Article 2-3.
Well, it was,
So we
it's
don't have a
number
special
one, whether the moderator believes that combining them is within the four corners of the first article.
Right.
And that can be maintained by combining them.
You can't, because it
And
doesn't, it's not.
So if he says, no, you can't combine them.
Because
because
it's over the levy
then
limit.
that's that.
Yeah.
But if he says, if he feels differently.
Yeah, I don't think he said that yet, but, I don't know if it is.
If he feels differently
I didn't
come
even think
Saturday.
that could happen, Bill, though, so I'm glad you brought it up now, I agree with you, but. it
No
would-
pressure.
I just like to be prepared.
You know, that's good, I mean,
The good-
so I'm just trying to say how you respond to that, you say, well,
the-
yeah.
the
we
other
thought
thing is
ahead,
that-
that's why we did it separate then.
The other thing is that if somebody tries to make the motion and the moderator entertains the motion, it's incumbent on the FinCom and the Select Board and the school committee to explain that we asked for them to be done this way because, and explain the budget situation. If you voted down with them together, then we don't have a budget to start the fiscal year with, and that means we'll have to be back here for a special town meeting before July 1st.
And
Well-
another ballot
I mean,
measure.
yeah, because I assume the way and I just, it would be really an awkward motion. If you think this motion is awkward, that motion would be, you're going to be essentially combining the two motions into one to say, you're going to go through and approve what's within the levy limit and whatever amount of money you're going to raise and appropriate to fund that, and then, and further, to then appropriate additional sums for these various line items in the budget that are supplementing that vote that are going to be subject to the override. So you end up,
Town meetings were.
you're combining essentially the same motions, I think ultimately get combined into one motion, which would be,
Should we have that one motion ready, just in case, now that Bill gave everyone the idea?
I mean, I think.
No, this
that-
is not my idea. I've seen it happen, I've seen it happen before, and I just want to be
I know.
prepared
Right,
for it.
and I remember there was, in 2020, I think it was when there was a separate article for a portion of the school budget.
That was the second time we tried it. It was the
Right.
second time
And I
that it
could,
got merged.
I do remember it was definitely discussed together. I couldn't recall whether or not they were actually voted together, whether
They
there was
were
a
voted
combined
together.
vote.
They were,
Okay.
they were voted together, because the motion was made and seconded, and it passed on a voice vote to combine them. So then we had to take them up all as one. But again, that was all under the levy limit. There was no issue with an override needed or anything else. It's up to the moderator. I feel it's clear that a motion under 2-4 would not be within the four corners of a motion under 2-3.
Because we're trying to
But
stay under
that's-
the levy limit.
But
on
that is,
3.
that is up to the moderator to decide. So you've got from now till Saturday, Bill, to think about how you want to deal with that.
I guess I would, you're really trying to combine 3 articles in a sense, because there's separate ballot.
No, there's only one ballot vote on the override. The one ballot vote includes the additional request for
right.
town and school stuff. We combined the one, so there's only one ballot question for the override. There's a second separate debt exclusion question for the roof. That's completely unrelated, we haven't even got there yet. But that will be another matter.
But we should, if someone tries, we should probably try to explain what we just did here tonight, have that ready and crisp. But then someone should know the numbers combined on a motion.
And the
if we had
costs
to.
too, of an additional special town meeting, an additional ballot measure.
Yeah. I think if you can get it within the four corners, that's your best path.
The concept is it goes over the override, so it doesn't make sense to combine them, because then you have no
Right.
budget.
Then the town has no budget to operate on. We're trying to give the ability
And
to
the
the
schools
town
also have no
and the
budget to operate.
schools to maintain continuity through a period. So
Okay,
we separate.
I'm hearing no, so we're gonna move on.
All right,
Yeah,
2-5
that's
capital
all good.
expenditures.
And, I'm sorry, and the fact of the matter is, I mean, to keep them separate doesn't hurt the proposed override, really, right?
That's correct,
Nope.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, Article 2-5, capital expenditures.
Happy to read that if you're looking for someone.
All right, you're on Capcom, right?
I was, yeah. I make it back.
You make it back? All right, Bill Wilson's volunteering at 2225.
Yay, Bill.
Anything else on 25, Joe?
What if they try to, oh, no.
It's pretty straightforward.
All right, 26 is water enterprise budget. Ben, you want to do that one?
Yeah.
That one is on the consent agenda, so I think we had you, Bill
Is it?
Olson.
26 is not.
We don't have 2.6 on the
No,
consent
26
agenda.
is not in consent agenda.
Oh, we don't?
Could add it if you wanted. It wasn't currently listed. Do you guys want to add it? Since we took 2 away?
I think this might garner some attention, and people might want a little bit of an explanation about why the water rates are going up. I think that's
Okay. All right,
fair
yeah.
to think about.
I think in the past that has been part of the consent agenda, if I recall correctly, but that's fine. It does not have to be.
We just recently had a water rate change, so I think
Okay,
Rosie's right, that may engender some questions. If we put it on the consent, it'll probably get held anyway, so.
okay. And so who's making that motion?
Ben Galuza.
Ben, okay, thank you.
All right.
And do you want Ben to explain anything
Yeah,
on
that's
it?
a
Or
great
is anybody
question.
else going to speak on it? Or you may have received a insert in your water bill, and this is to fund future initiatives, or?
Happy to.
You happy to
I mean,
speak to
I
that?
don't know if it's gonna, we should clarify.
Or I'd probably connect with Joe and
Yeah, okay.
Tim.
Yeah,
Tim's the
we can-
first,
we
and
can-
just-
I mean, either we can get Tim to talk, or you
Yeah,
can
either
speak
Tim
for
or you. I
Tim. Your
wasn't-
choice. But if you're willing to speak to, I think that's great.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, we'll get Ben up to speed.
Okay.
Tim would be happy to not have to speak.
All right.
2-7 is in the consent, but Bill Olson will speak to it if it gets held.
Okay, 2-8, same thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to do this at the same time here.
Yep.
2-9, same thing, which is OPEB.
Oh, we did put 7 in the consent?
7, 8, and 9, yeah.
I didn't know we could put a financial action in there. but-
As long as it
As
doesn't
long as it's a
require.
majority vote.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you
as
said-
as long as,
okay.
well, two things have to happen.
Great.
One, there has to be, usually we've only included items in it that have the same quantum of votes, so majority only.
Okay.
And as long as the specific dollar amount and funding sources are set forth in the warrant article itself, you can do that.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we're reducing tax rate.
That's right. It was a good move.
Capital Stabilization Fund is Article 2-.
I think that's like a playoff game going on. I saw some people.
2-10.
Should all go show up, do a little.
All right, 2-10 is not, capital stabilization fund is,
That's a two-thirds vote, so that typically has not been included in
that
the
is just
consent
to
agenda.
restock our capital stabilization fund. So who'd like to make that motion from Tom Myers?
I'll do it if nobody wants to. I'm
Tom's got
fine.
it.
Tom said yes.
Okay.
If you want it, Rosie, you're more than welcome to have it.
No, that's okay. It's fine to share the fun.
Share the fun. I like that.
CPC
Rosie,
budget.
Rosie would like
You
to
can do it in a
Rosie would
song.
like to do the patent. Rosie would like to do the patent one before we get there, just to put her name on that one. But she'd like to do the patent one. So, 211 is on the consent, which is the
Okay.
CPC. 212 is the roof.
It's on fire.
Who would like?
Is Eric Tracy going to speak to this as well?
Yeah, I'm sure Eric will make a presentation on it, but the motion has to be moved by somebody on the Select Board of FinCom.
That's it. Can't be the school board.
Well, technically, anybody can make a motion as long as they're a town meeting member, so it could be anybody, it could be somebody from the crowd, it could be anybody.
I'll do this. That's fine. We need a new roof.
Okay.
Well, are you going to do the patent one right after it?
Sure.
Then I'll just do that one, or if somebody else wants to, just to.
Which
share.
one?
Bill Wilson wants to share the fun.
Yeah, I'll do
Sure.
that one. You're going to do the patent one right after.
Go for it, Bill. Yep, okay, yep.
And we should look and make sure.
The good news is, Bill, that's a short one.
All right.
All right. 3-1 is
Is
Rosemary, the patent. And who's speaking to that one? Do we need some background on this one? So people understand what we're doing?
I was,
I could do a little background for it. Joe, I can talk with you about it.
yeah, I think Rosie and John have both been part of the
Yeah.
patent task
John,
force,
if you've
so
got it in your
happy to have
report, I
them
think
both speak to it. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to be a cheerleader for this project. And I will talk to Joe and John prior to, so that we can make sure that all the issues are addressed.
Perfect.
Rosie, read what I wrote in the book of recommendations. It gives us a little history of financial.
Sorry, I can't quite hear that. What was that?
He was saying, read what the Book of Recommendations says. John provided a history of the property and the different things we've tried out there, so.
So where do we get
Okay,
that book? If I already have it, I apologize. Where is
on the-
that?
it's on the
website, or
website.
do we have it in email?
Oh, it's already on the website.
Okay.
It's already on the
It's on
website.
the website, okay.
Okay, perfect, will do.
Well, it's not in this warrant.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Yeah.
This is the script, and the warrant was done way before the FinCom Book of Recommendations was done.
30 pages of love.
What?
300, I thought.
All right.
I'm just making notes of myself. He's doing the same thing. We'll be fine.
All right, so that, we got that one. 3-1, so it's gonna be,
Rosie's
Rosie's gonna speak
Rosie
to
and
it.
John.
Okay. Article 3-2 is lease of portion of former landfill property, and there's two of them, so I think the same person can probably make 3-2 and 3-3. I'm willing to do that. Does anybody
Go
else?
for it.
These 2/3?
No,
No, majority vote.
majority votes. Did you say, Bill
Yep.
Olson, you're gonna do both those?
Yeah, do 3-2, and 3-3. All right, 3-4 is consent agenda, but I'll do it if it doesn't, which shouldn't be an issue. 3-5, adopt a specialized
Peter.
energy building code. I know Rosie had said she wouldn't mind doing that, but I know, Tom, you said it too, so I'll let you guys fight it out.
I'll defer to Rosie first. If she wants it, if not, I'll do it.
All right, Rosie, you
Yeah.
have that one.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work on this and talked to a lot of folks within the town. So I definitely would like to do this, to present the pros and the cons, and that would be, I'm guessing that the Environmental Impact Committee will have some sort of a presentation. So I think it should be well covered.
So, yeah, so Joe, what is that presentation gonna be right now? Do we have?
So
any
I
submitted
haven't
to-
I haven't seen it, but I know that,
They submitted
okay.
slides that
The chair of the HEIC has submitted slides.
So, Rosemary, are you gonna just speak content, or are you gonna have any content, you gonna speak to speak, or are you gonna have content to show up on the screen?
Oh, geez. I could probably do one slide that would just talk about the concerns, and then let people make their own decisions. I don't know if Jeannie plans to have, if she plans to have a slide, or if she's just going to speak. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just sort of
Yeah, she can't hear.
echo what she does in terms of her presentation.
Yeah, Rosie, Bill Bowler says that the HIC has already submitted a slide, and he's approved it, so I'll get you a copy of that. I haven't seen it, but I'll get it.
Bill, when do you need a slide
Fin-
by?
last week.
Yeah. The issue is we're kind of around time, so Rosemary, maybe just make some verbal
Verbal
points.
notes.
Then,
Just so we
one
don't have to get-
question. I believe that FinCom voted 3-0 in favor of this. And then we were kind of split 3-2 unfavorable. But I was wondering, did you all do an analysis on it or
Yeah, it's in
run
the
any
it's in the warrant, in the article
Book of
here.
recommendation.
in the article?
The famous book recommendations we haven't read
A
yet.
book of recommendations. Oh,
Recommendations,
the big
yeah.
one. The
30
big book,
pages of
okay.
love.
Yeah, I'm
33
just-
pages.
I guess to your point, I know because we're split, and so I guess it sounds like the Hamilton Environmental Impact Committee is gonna do something, right?
They're gonna-
So
they're-
I just want to make sure that we're, considering there's two different opinions from the select board, that we're.
But I'm speaking for the majority, and the majority recommends unfavorable action.
But
So I
the
think
point I
that's-
brought up, Rosemary, was that the FinCom voted 3-0 all in favor. And so I was
Right.
wondering if they wanted a voice at the table or if we wanted to give them one, because I think it deserves some explanation.
Well, that's what Jeannie Moran is planning to do, right?
Well, they're representing the environmental committee, right? Or is Jeannie on your team?
Yeah,
with FinCom? All right,
I
so
mean,
that's what.
if you would like to speak, you're entitled to speak. So if it's, Rosemary can speak about what the majority feels, you can speak what the FinCom feels, and then the the.
HESC will have theirs on.
I mean, I think that's fair and reasonable. Okay.
Yeah, I think if there's any financial article you guys want to get up on, you should. No, just be a little more pleasant. I know, you do a great job. Right, exactly.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
John just mentioned he's gonna speak on a few articles with financial stuff. He's gonna speak to the patent as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything, like I said, anything that has a financial impact, he should speak to if he wants to, from the FinCom point of view, so. So just make sure Bill Bowler's aware of it, so he sees you in the front row. He doesn't always see you, he's not tall enough.
Okay.
All right, is that it? We got more
it.
articles?
That's all the articles.
Sound we good?
All the
We're
articles.
good, yes.
Happy with where we ended up? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
We'll do a dry rehearsal Friday night. Walk through.
From 6 until 10?
High school at 9 o'clock at night, Bill.
All
See you
right,
there.
sounds good.
You guys will have to do that without me. My son is in the school musical at Swampscott High School. I will be on Thursday and Friday night, sitting in the Swampscott Auditorium, watching my son in his first high school musical, so.
All right, next item on the agenda is report of the auditors for the fiscal year 2025 audit. Asterisk. What's the asterisk for?
That's one, those are items that we actually have discussion about.
Okay.
All right, public comment.
Okay.
That's right. But there's not a public here to comment, so,
Okay.
well, there is one, but.
Please introduce yourself, and you have, I recognize you. I think it's show on the
Yeah,
slide.
I'm gonna put the slide up, yeah.
My name is Zach Fentross. I'm here with CLA. We are the town's outside auditors who performed the audit for the June 30th, 2025 audit for the town of Hamilton.
How do I turn this into a slideshow that I don't have this stuff on the
If
side?
this hop it, there should be like a slideshow.
This little
Oh, okay, okay.
screen on the right, you see it?
Got it, yeah.
Not that one,
Not that one, left, left,
or
left.
the left.
Oh.
That
Right
one.
there, yeah.
Perfect.
There we go. All right.
So tonight, I'm going to be going through the financial highlights for the town of Hamilton, again, as of June 30, 2025, and I'll also be going through the single audit. Next slide, Joe. So for the agenda tonight, we're going to go over what the terms of the engagement were, what the town of Hamilton hired us to produce. I'll go over an executive summary, give you some high-level items. Similarly, with the financial items, it's going to be a very high-level financial view for the town of Hamilton. Next, management letter, or the lack thereof. The town did not receive a management letter this year. I'll get into that a bit more later. And then finally, some other required communication that are required by auditing standards for us. Next slide, Joe. So first, let's get into the terms of engagement. The town hired us to express opinions on whether the financial statements are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. You also hired us to produce a report on your internal control over financial reporting in compliance with laws, regulations, contracts, and grants. And then finally, to provide some other communication to those charged with governance, or what I'll call the governance letter, and we're going to get into that a bit more later. Next slide, Joe. Continuing on with the executive summary. On the first page of your financial statements, you'll see the independent auditor's report. The town received a clean opinion. This is the best opinion you can receive from an independent auditing firm, and it's the same opinion that the town has received in prior years. And that report was dated February 24th, 2026. For your independent auditor's report on your internal control and your compliance, there were no findings. The governance letter communication, again, we'll talk about it a bit later. And then again, really want to emphasize no management letter this year. That really speaks to the town's adhering to the internal controls and the financial policies that are established and making sure that they're operating effectively. So kudos to the town for not having a management letter this year. Next, please. Then the final piece of the executive summary is something a little bit different this year. The town was required to have a single audit this year. And a single audit is when a town expends more than $750,000 of federal funds in a year. The feds require us to come in and audit a percentage of those federal grants. So the town was just over this year. You had $757,000 in expenditures of federal grants, which required a single audit this year. We audited your ARPA grant, which was the vast bulk of your federal expenditures. It made up about $615,000 of that $757,000. We go through it with exactly what the federal government asked us to look at. There were no compliance issues and there were no internal control findings, and that report is dated the same date as your financial statements, February 24th, 2026, and it has already been uploaded to the clearinghouse in time for the deadline. The feds require that to be uploaded by March 31st, so it's been uploaded, submitted, and accepted. All good there. Next slide, please. Some financial highlights. We're going to focus on your governmental activities, and that can be found on page 14 of your financial statements. And the net position for the town was about $27 million, and you can see the biggest part of that breakdown is your net investment in your capital assets was about $24.5 million. And then you see that last bullet there is your unrestricted actually had a deficit of $1.6 million. This is not uncommon in the Commonwealth. Quite a lot of communities have a deficit unrestricted net position, and that's really the direct result of your net pension liability, which is about $12 million, and your net OPEB liability, which is about $4 million for your governmental activities. And we'll get into the net pension and the net OPEB liabilities further in the presentation. Next slide, please. For your governmental funds, I want to focus just on your general fund, which can be found on page 17. So at year end, the town had a general fund, year-end fund balance of about 12.8 or about $13 million. And you can see the breakdown was about 5.7 for committed, about 43,000 for encumbrances, and then about 7.3 million for your unassigned fund balance. What's important to note about your unassigned fund balance, that includes your general stabilization, and your general stabilization was about 2.5 million. So of that 7.3, stabilization makes up about 2.5 of that. Now, your unassigned fund balance is one of the more important figures in your financial statements, and over the next couple of slides, I'm going to really emphasize that fact. And what's important to note, it's really the starting point for your free cash calculation. So when Wendy's going through and doing that calculation, submitting those forms to the state, this is largely speaking the starting point for that calculation. Next slide, please. So you can see here is some trend of your general fund balance over the course of 5 years. The darker of the two is your total fund balance, and then that lighter of those two colors is your unassigned fund balance. You can see that your unassigned fund balance decreased by about $200,000 from 2024 to 2025, went from 7.3 million to 7.1 million. So it was largely unchanged from the prior year. And the reason that was largely unchanged is due to your budgetary results of operation. So the town, you had favorable turnbacks on your budgetary results of operation of $1.7 million during fiscal year 2025. When that can be thought of as is that revenues came in greater than what you anticipated and expenses came in less than what you anticipated to a net total of about 1.7 million. So you started the year with 7.3 million in unassigned fund balance. You added back in $1.7 million due to your favorable turnbacks on your budgetary versus actual results. But then the town determined to use 1.8 million during your 2026 budgetary to fund your 2026 budget. So that's why it decreased, and it decreased by about 200,000. It's not an exact science, but a great way to look at it is, what is our general fund budgetary results from operation? What did we use for free cash in the subsequent fiscal year? And you can kind of get back to that 7.1 million. Next slide, please. So this shows some comparison of your fund balance and your total fund balance and your unassigned fund balance as a percentage of your expenditures. And the GFOA recommends 2 months or 16.7% when comparing your unassigned fund balance to your total expenditures. So you can see that the town of Hamilton, as of June 30th, 2025, is at 17.1%, that very last column on the right-hand side. So you're right in line with where the GFOA would recommend you be for your unassigned fund balance, and that's a good financial position for the town of Hamilton to be in. Next slide, please. Your other post-employment benefits, or your OPEB, largely unchanged from the prior year. You had a total liability of 4.4 million, and it decreased or increased by about $200,000 from your June 30, 2024 figure. So again, largely unchanged. There was no large change in assumptions or other inputs, which is why it's largely unchanged from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25. What you can see down below is some sensitivity analysis of what would be the impact on that liability if your inputs or your assumptions change by 1 percentage point higher or lower. You can see that actually has a fairly large swing in that liability. Next slide, please. Next, another large liability that you folks have is your net pension liability. And in total, that net pension liability is about $12.3 million. It's actually about $1 million increase from the prior year. And what this represents is the total unfunded, it represents the town of Hamilton's portion of the total unfunded liability for the Essex Regional Retirement System, and that figure is presented as of December 31st, 2024. So the reason for that $1 million increase, you can see on that second bullet point, the town's percentage was about 2.9% in fiscal year 25, and it was about 2.6% in fiscal year 24. That little bump up actually increased your liability by about $1 million, which is the primary driving force for that. And then the last bullet there is, again, another sensitivity analysis to show you what would be the impact on that liability if your discount rate was increased or decreased by 1%. Next slide, please. Here we have a year-over-year comparison of both your pension and your OPEB liabilities from a dollar figure standpoint on the left-hand side and then a funding ratio on the right-hand side. Again, on that left-hand side, you can see that slight increase on your net pension liability of about $1 million, and then largely speaking, your net OPEB liability was unchanged from the prior year. Your funding ratios, there was a slight uptick in your pension from the Essex retirement, and then again, another slight uptick in your net OPEB liability. What I want to focus on here is the OPEB. Your OPEB is funded at 29%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the average and what we generally see in the Commonwealth is anywhere from 0 to 10% for towns and cities. Certainly there are some towns and cities that are higher than that, but generally speaking, it's anywhere from 0 to 10%. So the town of Hamilton to be at 29% is going to be viewed favorably by your users of the financial statements. Users of your financial statements, such as bond rating agencies, what they like to see also is a commitment to funding that liability year over year over year, which the town of Hamilton has done, which again is a good financial position for the town of Hamilton, and it's going to be viewed favorably by your users of the financial statements. Some other required communication. This is really the governance letter. So what we're required to do is have some discussions with you. So your significant accounting policies, those are described in the first note to your financial statements. And we didn't identify any significant accounting policies that lacked authoritative guidance. Your note disclosures were neutral, consistent, and clear. There were no unusual or significant transactions. And then as far as your uncorrected or corrected misstatements, there were 2 uncorrected misstatements. One was for an opioid accounts receivable, and one was for a water grant receivable. Neither of them were material, but we are required to bring those to your attention. Next slide, please. And then finishing off some of your other required communications, there were no disagreements with management. Management did provide us with some representations that everything they gave us was true and accurate. Management did not consult with any other independent auditing firms during the course of the engagement. And then any significant issues discussed, there were no major issues discussed, but we do keep an ongoing communication with management here in the town throughout the course of the audit. Any questions?
Thank you. You were saying that some of the other towns in the Commonwealth, that their OPEB liabilities were in the 10% range or something like that effect?
The funding of the liability, not necessarily the total liability. The total liability really varies from community to community. In fact, your liability is much lower than a community that has a school district because it's just really based on the number of employees, and not having those school employees here at the town really makes your liability much smaller. But it's really based upon the funding of that. What we see is generally when people begin to fund that liability, it's anywhere from 0 to 10%, which a lot of communities have recently begun to fund it. So the town of Hamilton being at 29% is certainly an outlier.
Okay. And that, you said, was viewed favorably by like credit rating agencies because we're presumably then what, staying ahead of it? Or
yes, making a commitment to begin to fund this liability into the future.
Yeah.
When you read through like your S&P, those credit ratings reports, they do specifically mention that communities that were viewed more favorably do make a commitment to making those contributions to your OPEB trust fund on an annual basis.
Okay. And it's simply the fact that we're funding it and doing that year over year, not that the credit rating is not tied to the percentages or those benchmarks?
No.
No, okay. Were there other benchmarks or anything else that we were outliers on?
Not everybody has an unassigned fund balance at 17.1%. Most communities are lower than that. Again, certainly there are some that are higher, some that are lower, but being right where the GFOA recommends is not, I don't give that, I'm not able to say that in every exit conference that I give, that a community has that financial flexibility in their unassigned fund balance.
So I think a couple of years ago, we were probably double that, right? Is there anything we'd call out that we did as a town to kind of get it back in line, get it in line, I guess, at that 17% from 25%? I thought I saw it 2 years ago. in that
Yeah, we
chart.
use free cash.
I mean,
Probably.
we've used a little bit more money, but a lot of it last year, so that like brought down what we had unassigned, and we would have been higher than that had we not done that last year.
But I think our budgets are tighter, obviously, right?
Yeah.
We're more accurate with our budgeting, our reporting, our forecasting, they're just getting tighter. That's what that says, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to hear John speak, but any other questions too?
I was just curious, maybe for the general audience, the fact that we did not have a management letter, if you could just speak to that, but we have other required communications, the difference between the two.
Another required communication, the governance letter, every town gets. It is required by auditing standards. There's no, really any way around it. A management letter, I'd say in my history of doing this, maybe 15 years, I'd say maybe 15% don't get a management letter. Most communities do get a management letter. So again, that really speaks to the team here in the town of Hamilton and how seriously they take internal controls and financial reporting to make sure that things are operating effectively.
So a management letter might call out things the town might look at, and you'd come back and look at in the following year, like passwords or.
We were doing
other
cash
controls.
receipts.
Right, exactly.
We're
I'm
not
just
doing cash
calling
receipts
it out
anymore,
more
right?
than anything.
Exactly right, yeah.
Yep, so if we had any recommendations to improve your internal controls or your financial reporting process, which,
Them in a letter, and then the
Exactly.
town would work to fix that, and you'd look for it next year.
exactly.
Got it.
Can I just add, so I've been your town manager for 7.5 years. In that time, Wendy's been our finance director for 3 years. And all my time prior to Wendy coming here, we always had a management letter. Never significant things, but we always had a management letter. And in 2 of the 3 years that Wendy's been here, we have not. We had one item in a management letter last year. We addressed it, took care of it, and there's no management letter again this year for the second time in 3 years. I think that's a great credit to Wendy and the way she works with her team.
Thank you, seriously.
She takes the information from the auditors, identifies the problems, and then makes sure that they're not a problem going forward.
Yeah, that's why I actually wanted to call out the difference between the two and why they're used in an audit process, and the fact that we haven't had them in a few years is really good.
We don't get a peek behind the curtain a lot, because we're working on this stuff, but
Yeah.
when we do, we see how organized and diligent you guys are with it, so appreciate it. And I think next year, we want to look a little bit more of those funds, as we've talked about, so we do have a little bit more peek behind the curtain on what you're doing, so.
I also think it's important that we have great guidance from CLA. Any kind of questions we have, they're always there and available to guide us.
Good point.
I had one more
Great partner.
question, was the so why did we trend up from 2.6, 2.9% on our share of the Essex?
Yeah, I was
liability?
wondering about that too.
Is that, we have more employees, or we have, other towns have less employees, or,
It could be a combination of both.
okay. We have no say in that, just
That's a
how,
big swing for a small
So
percent.
to put some perspective on that, if you look back 2 years, you were at 2.8%.
okay.
So if you look back for 2 years ago, it was at 2.8%. The year before that, I was at 2.8%. In 2024, it actually dropped down to 2.6, and then it increased back up to 2.9. So the 2.9 figure is more comparable to what you saw in 2023 and 2022.
And who gives us that number, and how often does it come? Is it once a year?
We have
It comes once a year.
Yeah,
And it comes from them?
it comes from Essex,
And it's
based on,
FTEs?
it's based on full-time employees who are enrolled in the pension program.
Okay.
And, I think there was a year where we had some vacancies, and the people had left and moved on, so we didn't have bodies, and those people, we had positions, and it took us a while to get those positions hired, so
Okay.
I think that's where that came. But it's 2.6, 2.8, we're within, a small movement. Our FTEs have actually gone down and will go down in the FY27 budget. So I would anticipate when we're having this conversation next year, you might see that tick down again, because we've made
Not growing
adjustments.
our
We're not growing our
staff,
staff, so.
Yeah, just one point from the FinCom. On page 7 of our book recommendations at the bottom, we basically said that FinCom believes that the town of Hamilton and the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District manages its financial matters in a conservative and responsible manner and achieves excellent financial outcomes for the town, given the limited financial resources at our disposal. This is clearly evidenced not only by the 18-year time period between the last operational override, but also by the AAA bond rating currently in place. So that's, I think, a couple of sentences that we can all feel comfortable with. But the key is, given our limited financial resources. And I think in the town, our hands are really pretty tightly bound. We don't have a lot of discretionary funding, so that's how we view it. So anyway.
I'd also give credit to the rest of the department heads. We have a group of very dedicated municipal employees who understand the town's limited resources. They understand what our funding sources are and how they're constrained. And they only ask for what they need, and then they try not to even spend all that every year. They work very, very diligently to try to contain their budgets as much as possible.
I agree.
How rare is that AAA rating?
I don't have the exact stats on that one, so I can certainly get back to you with the number of AAA communities in the Commonwealth. I don't have an exact number on that.
Oh, that's right.
Rosemary, anything?
I was just going to say, we've had the AAA rating for a while, haven't we, Joe?
Since before I got here.
Yeah,
I'll-
yeah,
and
as long as I remember.
I will say, when the town first hired me, a colleague congratulated me that I was going to a town that had a AAA bond rating, and to which I said, yeah, the only thing I can do is screw it up. So I'm fortunate to say here 7.5 years later, I haven't. And I appreciate the support of the FinCom and the finance director and everybody else. We have not messed it up in 7.5 years. We're going to continue to strive to not mess it up.
Good job, Joe. Good job.
Tom looked it up, did the Googles, 22.
22 cities and towns out of 351 have
Yeah.
a AAA rating.
Put you
That's
in.
that's even less than I thought. I thought we were around 40.
I would have thought it would have been more.
I thought it was around 40, but I will say, that Standard & Poor's and Moody's have both been a little bit more strict lately. I know of a couple of communities that lost their AAA bond rating just in the last 2 or 3 years. So, mostly due to taking on debt.
That's it. We don't over-lever ourselves.
Okay.
And we pay our bills and OPEB percent and all that.
Yeah.
Do we know what the school percent is on that?
I don't off the top of my head.
You know, we could go, I mean, we'd have to get their audit to, can find out.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. I can look it up too.
All right.
Good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All parties
If it was
involved.
okay, do you mind if I make a
Finance,
quick comment?
group.
Yeah.
I'd want to thank Wendy and her team and everybody who was involved in the audit. It's not an easy process. We ask a lot of questions and ask for a lot of information. The town was very well prepared for us. We had the audit largely done in November, and we had to wait for the Essex Retirement to finish their audit just to grab that number so that we could finish the town's financials. So I just want to say thank you to everybody involved in the audit for being well prepared and easy to work with. It was a good experience.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Wendy.
All right, you too.
Good night.
Next item on the agenda is to approve FinCom reserve fund transfer for transition to new Civic Plus website with ADA accessibility. Discuss and vote.
Can I introduce this article? Yes. So, we've had an issue, you know, our website's older. It was new 10 years ago, 9 years ago. The company that services us does a great job. They work really hard to help, but they don't specialize in municipal websites. They actually, I think current in Massachusetts, we're their only client. There was us in Woburn, but I believe Woburn's already moved. And we became aware just about 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, that in April of 2027, we're going to be required to have our website be ADA, 100% ADA accessible. The town had already been looking at moving away from our current web provider to this company, Civic Plus. Civic Plus is currently doing most of the municipal websites in the state. They're a very clear, easy to use website. This is what they specialize in. We had taken a pause on it because my previous assistant, Cindy, was going to spearhead it, but Cindy left. So we had taken a pause on it, but when I found out that we were going to have to comply with the ADA accessibility rules by next April anyway, we looked at it again. We had a meeting with Civic Plus, distilled the scope down a little bit to focus on that component, to transition us to a new website that would be 100% ADA accessible. And then we also asked them to add in a see-click fix component as well. And that came back at a kind of a favorable price. We didn't have it in the budget to do it right now, but given that we want to get it done before next April and be ahead of the curve, we met with the FinCom and asked if they'd be interested in funding it from the FinCom reserve. They agreed last Wednesday, so I'm just here to get your blessing to move forward with the project. If you approve it, I'll sign the contract tomorrow. We'll have a kickoff meeting later this month, and Civic Plus will start their work with the goal of transitioning us to the new website effective July 1st.
That's great.
So we're able to answer other questions, or if you want to ask John and the FinCom about their vote.
So the total amount, I'm looking
Total
at it
amount
here.
right now that we're asking for is, what was it, $40,804.60. And then the annual recurring
Annual
charges
fee.
we'll pay for in FY '27 from the line item that's designated for that anyway. It's a little bit more than what we normally budget in there, but we'll be able to fund it without any additional transfers.
And
Yeah, the Civic Plus is on the state bid list specifically to do this. So all the services that are in this, you've got in front of you the statement of work, the invoice. All the services that are listed in this invoice are part of their state bid. So we don't need to go out and seek other quotes. They've already been cleared by the state.
Okay.
As I said, they are doing the majority of them. In fact, Wenham transitioned to them just a year
That's
ago.
my next question, yeah. Who else around us is using Civic Plus?
Wenham's using them. I believe they're in Ipswich now as well. Most of the communities are starting to use them.
That's a
And
good
they're-
test for us.
Boxford's definitely using them.
Uptime, so their uptime has been good and no.
Yeah, yeah. And, right now, because our website is so old and because it's not run by a company that specifically focuses on municipal work, we have something outrageous like 1,200 pages on our website, which makes it really clunky and hard to navigate. If you go looking for information, you might get a wrong search result because there's so many pages there, it's trying to sift through. Civic Plus looked at our website and said, yeah, you should have, for a town your size and what you've got going on for departments, we should have about 300 or 400 pages. So we have 3 times as many pages as we need. That alone should make the user function more friendly.
Okay, so that's a full, like, back end and front end
Yep.
rebuild, whole new
And it'll provide training
interface.
for the staff. It'll provide training for the staff, ongoing support when we need it, so.
Does it merge emails and web, or it's just the website?
It's just website
Okay.
right now.
it's a multi-year deal, or?
Yeah, it's a 2-year contract, and it'd be renewable every year at that price around the 18,000. At some years, I'm sure it'll go up, but we'll have advance notice of that in time for budget season every year, so.
Looks good.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that?
I need a motion, yeah.
Yeah.
Would like to make the motion.
So I move that we approve the transfer of funding from FinCom to town budget. Am I doing this right? I gotta go back to the.
Transfer funding to the town managers, from the FinCom
I can
reserve
say
fund to
it.
the transfer.
Okay.
I could say it. Can I have a motion to approve FinCom reserve fund transfer for transition to new Civic Plus website with AD accessibility?
Oh, so moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Second. Rosemary, roll call vote. We'll start with Rosemary.
Rosie Kennedy, aye.
Ben Galuza, aye.
Tom Myers, aye.
Bill Wilson, aye.
And William Olson, aye. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah,
Nice
that's
job,
great.
Joe. All right, next item is appointment of Carl Jones Jr. to the Hamilton Wenham Recreation Committee to fill an open position, discuss and vote.
think we
he's
have
been trying
Sean-
to-
I think we have
he's
Sean
been trying
Simmons
to
here.
break in the back door for the past couple minutes. You
Oh,
want
is that who that was?
to let Carl
Thought it was
Jones
Ben trying to get
Jr.?
out.
I think Sean Timmons is here if you have questions, and I don't know if Mr. Starlett is here in support of this, or is he just a member of the audience paying attention tonight, but
Yeah, sorry, I can speak real quick. So Carl, can you guys hear me? You guys good?
We can hear you, yep.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, yep, no, Carl unfortunately had a commitment tonight. I couldn't attend, but I just wanted to, kind of speak on his behalf. So Carl did attend our rec committee meeting, our last rec committee meeting. So the committee was able to ask him questions, and, at the end, they obviously fully support his appointment to the rec committee.
I move that we appoint Carl Jones Jr. to the Hamilton Wenham Recreation Committee to fill an open position.
Second.
Any further discussion? No. All right, roll call vote. We'll start with Rosemary.
Rosie Kennedy, aye.
Ben Galuza, aye.
Tom Myers, aye.
Bill Wilson, aye.
William Olson, aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Sean. Good night.
Big basketball night tonight. Lots of noise coming from the rec center.
That's big bet. Playoffs.
Excited.
All right.
All right, take care. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers over there. Not so
The next item's on hold for Valerie Peck.
Yeah, it was a miscommunication. I thought that the FinCom had met, FinCom, excuse me. The
Concom.
FinCom had met last Wednesday. They're actually meeting this Wednesday. So we'll have that on your next agenda.
All right, and then there's a request from former resident David B. Wells to purchase cemetery plots, discuss and vote.
The letter is in your, it was in your packets. Mr. Wells describes that he was a resident here for many years. His parents lived here and are buried in the cemetery, and he and his wife would like to be buried next to them.
Looking for a family plot?
2 spots for him, he and his wife next to his parents.
Yeah, we've done similar. Like I said, we want to look at that policy, we should, but I think it's consistent with what we've approved to date. And it's different too, because he's buying 2 plots and not a family plot. So there's no unknown there. Sometimes they buy the family plot and we're like, okay, who's else? But in this case, it's just 2 identified who, so. So any discussion, or someone want to make a motion and we can vote on it?
Well, I think this request comes from somebody with a very strong history in Hamilton. I think that's a very fair request.
I agree.
Agree, and consistent with what we've done in the past.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the request for his family to purchase 2 grave sites at the Hamilton Cemetery.
Second?
Roll call vote?
Rosie Kennedy, aye.
Ben Galuza, aye.
Tom Myers, aye.
Bill Wilson, aye.
William Olson, aye. I'm glad that people enjoy our community so much. They want to start and end in Hamilton, all right? Good. All right. Hopefully we don't run out of plots.
Hopefully.
Let's buy more land. All right, new business. Obviously, we got a lot of things coming up between town meeting and elections and a new board and all the other good stuff that comes with it. So I don't really have a lot. Only I have on my, is that we had a letter from the community sort of addressing some educational on sort of, I don't want to butcher it, but the laws of election finance.
Office of Campaign and Political Finance.
All right, so we had our attorney look into it in a future meeting after we're through sort of the town meeting stuff. We'll sort of get educated on what that means. It really comes down to spending town money to, on election items, ballot items, not anything that's like, not anything that's a town meeting or a select board meeting, but it's distribute information that affects elections. So we're gonna get educated. I don't wanna summarize it now, but we're gonna get educated by Tom at a future meeting, what it means, what the law is, and how we should make sure in the future that we don't have any gray area in that, so we're very clear with what we're doing.
I will say that we shared all the materials that we've been posting on Facebook, et cetera, for the upcoming town meeting and warrant articles, and particularly around the override question on the warrant. And Tom did not feel that we had violated OCPF. He did say that he had some recommendations for things to just make the line a little bit brighter in the future, but the Facebook posts do not count as distribution of material. That's the big thing that we can't do, is distribute materials related to an election ballot question.
Town can't.
A ballot question. The town can't use,
it's appointed officials, town employees, et cetera,
Right.
right?
So elected officials, such as yourselves, you're free to say what you want. You're free to use your money and send out what you want. The town can't use town resources to distribute information. We are actually required to have the information. If anybody asks for it, we have to provide it to them. And if we have it on our website, that's allowed. A Facebook post doesn't constitute distribution according to town council, so we're okay there. But we just want to make sure going forward that we're very clear that we don't reference election ballot questions on an election ballot. Our materials were geared toward educating or informing the public in advance of town meeting, as we do every year with all of our articles.
It's all based around town funds for town communications, right? Exactly. It's not personal stuff. It's all about town, right? It has nothing to do with, you can do anything you want personally.
Does it speak at all to not only town funds, but town opinions, or?
No, it's just about, because it's about finance. It's finance law. It's
Yeah.
about spending town money is all it's about. It's not about the opinion of it. It's about
Yeah, we can't.
spending town money on
you
the
can't even-
right stuff.
You can't even just create a small postcard with town resources and send it to every home in town and say, don't forget, there's a ballot question on April 16th. Show up and vote. You can't even say that because it runs afoul of OCPF, but we didn't do that. And what we have done is, according to town council, we're okay, we're safe. But he gave us some ideas about just making sure that we stay that way in the future, and we will. So.
But you could do an insert in a water bill, for instance, like we've done, does that?
No, we can't distribute.
Not regarding election.
We can't distribute.
Not regarding ballot. on
Like,
election.
for,
But either
example
way-
he gave is like, if you could distribute something on email that said, if you want to learn more about this, click here. You can't put it so that
It's there.
it's there.
Got it, all right.
Mm.
And we gave you the communication goal, and you're trying to,
I'm trying to communicate. Yeah, I will say I had a little bit of a sleepless night the night I got the question raised, because I was afraid that we had done something wrong, and I was very glad to hear from town council the next day that we hadn't. I was like, this is part of my goals, and I can't mess it up already, jeez.
Sorry, I do want to recognize this is Bill Wilson's last meeting for this term. He'll hopefully run again in the future, but really enjoy working with you.
Likewise.
You're always come thoughtful responses, calm, clear, concise with your opinions and your dialogue and conversation, and I hope you will stay involved in either Concom or FinCom or Capcom or whatever, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for you to stay involved in the town, but thank you for coming back. 'Cause I know you did this when so I
appreciate
took
the
your
call.
spot, and I hope you'll come back in the future.
enjoyed working with all of you folks, and I'll, might sit right there next to Wendy next time.
Yeah, you're gonna come to every meeting, so, you know, we need guests.
All good.
But you got one more, you got Saturday, but
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So before we sign off, I just have a suggestion for future meeting, and I'll wait until, Bill, if you have anything else to say. Sorry, I didn't want to.
Oh, no, we're good, thank you, though. I just
Okay.
appreciate everybody's collaboration. I think we had great discussions at the table. You know, sometimes they get a little bit heated, sometimes they don't, but we always come out of it, you know, as one team, one voice, and they could fault our decisions, but never the process we take it through, I think.
That sounds good.
go ahead, Mary.
So I just had a suggestion. So our 250th anniversary is coming up, and I would like to make a suggestion that we buy some sort of a 250th commemorative flag to put up on our town flagpoles, and maybe think about some sort of ceremony that would celebrate that.
Like on around the 4th of July, are you thinking?
Well, yeah, probably wouldn't be many people in town, but sort of, you know, it's just a town recognition of we are 250, and I'd like for us to think about something that would be celebratory without being over the top. I mean, I'm thinking of flag raising and just, for instance, I'm thinking at Patton Park, there's a process underway to refurbish the Patton tank out there. There's a process for that would spruce up that memorial, and so I'm just wondering if it could be in conjunction with all of that.
Sure. Can I ask, we could also raise the 250th commemorative flag prior to the community block party at the end of, right before the night of the night that you have the fireworks in town.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense, because it's right at Patton, right?
Yeah.
And I think we should also do some sort of ceremony, we do the ribbon cutting at Town Hall, because that's sort of, you know,
Yeah.
Maybe we could
celebrating
make
250.
Joe do 250 push-ups.
All at one time?
Over the course of a year.
Pretty good.
Give me, give me 10 days, I'll knock out 25 a day, no problem.
It's a great idea though, Rosie, something. I think that's
Yeah.
a good idea. You guys get back together and figure that out.
Yeah, if you guys, I trust you guys to figure something out, and we'll support it, we'll find the money for it, so, not a big deal.
Well, I think there was some money being planned for, in terms of the refurbishing of the Patton Memorial in Patton Park. I don't know when the exact date is planned for yet, for it to be completed. So, I mean, I think that's something that we would need to discuss more, but I just think it would be a fitting celebration in light of
Agreed.
our little town's heritage.
No, agreed.
So you're envisioning like our town flag with a seal with something like celebrating 250 years or something in a ribbon underneath it, maybe? What kind of a commemorative flag because I can go find and get one made, but I need to know what it is you want.
Why don't you guys?
Yeah, I was thinking something that specifically celebrates our 250th anniversary in the immediate vicinity of, say, the Patton Memorial at Patton Park. And I like the idea of doing it around the block party, I guess it's the town block party, and also at Town Hall with the reopening of the town hall. I think those are big occasions for our small town, and then we do it within the context of the larger countrywide celebration. So that's what I was thinking, my thoughts. I mean, obviously we should talk about it again, but just having a country celebration, right? Like a flag that represents our country.
All right, Rosie, I'll work with you on it, and we'll figure out what to order, and we'll raise it with those two events. Sounds great?
Okay, thank you
Anything
all.
else?
Take us home.
All right, someone's gotta make a motion.
I move we adjourn.
Have a second?
Second, yeah.
Roll call vote,
Rosie Kennedy, aye.
Ben Gluza, aye.
Tom
Thank you.
Myers, aye.
Bill Wilson, aye.
and it's 8:42.
Nicely done.
Half a day.
8 minutes.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Go Yukon.